Hi everyone, I'm going to show you my 3-step process to stop bugs from destroying your garden organically, whether it be a minor issue or a major infestation, and also how to prevent them as much as you possibly can. Plus, I'm also going to share with you 2 mistakes you don't want to make that will almost guarantee that your bug problems get worse. We've all been there. Holes in our leaves, bugs crawling everywhere, and I gotta tell you, sometimes panic sets in. What in the world am I gonna do? It's frustrating and overwhelming. Well, this video will break it down into 3 simple steps that actually work. At this time of the summer, it's very, very important that you really pay close attention to bug control because it's hot, it might be humid, it might be raining where you live. These are the conditions that the pests absolutely love. And before you know it, they can come in and wipe out your plants. Step 1 is when you have a minor infestation with just a few bugs or light damage. So perfect example here with these tomatoes and cucumbers. I've got a few little bugs scattered throughout, but this is definitely an issue I want to handle now before it gets out of hand and turns into a major infestation. So this is really simple. What I do when it's a minor infestation here is I simply spray the bugs off with a strong jet of water. So I've got my hose here and I'm just gonna spray down this plant to knock off the bugs. And a lot of times this will take care of it. So I'll do that, do this, and then check again a couple of days later to see if the bugs come back, spray again, and if it becomes a problem and the bugs keep coming back and infesting my plant, then we're moving into step 2. If you're enjoying our content, please subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks. Step 2 is when you have a major infestation. Now, how do you know if it's a major infestation? Because you want to observe your plant and you see a lot of damage on the plant. It might be showing signs of stress or wilting. You might have multiple holes. I mean, look at this leaf here. It's almost completely shredded. Half of the leaf is completely gone. And then you can turn the leaf over and a lot of times see little bugs or little egg sacs here like this one. And it just is spreading and pretty consistent throughout the plant. One sign that you can see that you have pests is when these leaves kind of curl inwards. That's a sure sign of aphids normally underneath the leaf. So when you see a plant like this that has damage throughout, that's the sign of an infestation. Now, here's where a lot of gardeners go wrong. You have to identify the type of pest that is infesting your plant because that will determine what you do for a solution. When you have a major infestation and water just isn't working, you have to bring out the organic sprays. But the key is you have to identify what type of pest is attacking your plants. Is it a chewing insect or is it a sucking insect? If you identify this wrong, you'll be spraying the wrong thing to kill the pests. The pests won't die, your problem will multiply, and it's almost guaranteed that the problem will get worse and the bugs will destroy your plant. So let's start with the sucking insects. Sucking insects include things like aphids, whiteflies, fungus gnats, squash bugs that actually suck the sap right out of the leaves, and it will eventually turn yellow, wilt, and die. The chewing insects are a little bit easier to spot. These are going to be obvious. You're going to have holes in your leaves, maybe even webbing in your leaves, and they just literally chew away at your plant and eat the entire thing. Common chewing insects are cabbage loopers, tomato hornworms, cucumber beetles, and just about any type of caterpillar, and Japanese beetles. Here's a perfect example of chewing insects. We were recently gone for a week, and they really took over the area. I mean, look at the damage in my little baby sunflowers here. And the kale has all kinds of holes in it. They just had a little feeding fest here in my garden bed. So whatever you do, don't make the mistake of just randomly spraying your plants without figuring out first, what type of insect am I dealing with? You're going to waste your time and money and your efforts just won't work. Here on my scarlet runner bean, unfortunately, I have a huge infestation of aphids. We were gone and they just took over and they're completely out of control. You can see they're just covering this plant and this whole section in here. And if I didn't do anything, they would suck the sap out of this plant and I would literally lose it. So I use Monterey Takedown whenever I see anything like this. It works, and that's why Monterey and I work together, because it will completely wipe out these aphids. So Takedown is an organic product. It has pyrethrin and canola oil, and it smothers the soft-bodied pests like aphids and knocks them down on contact. So I've got my concentrate here in my spray bottle. Just follow the package directions. It's a little pump sprayer. And I always spray in the morning or in the evening so that you're avoiding UV damage to your plants. You're avoiding the pollinators because they're less active in the morning and evening. You definitely do not want to spray in direct sunlight because you could burn your plants. Kills them on contact. And then usually what I do a day later or so, once all the pests are sprayed down and they're dead, got a few here on the little runner bean going out. Once the bugs are dead, I will wash the plant off again with a spray of water to get all the dead bugs off the plant. And I do want to pay attention here to underneath the leaves. Might be some underneath, just to make sure you're really getting them sprayed good. Spray every 1 to 2 weeks as needed. Now the pyrethrin in the takedown is made from the chrysanthemum flower. It attacks the pest's nervous system for a quick knockdown. And I spray every 1 to 2 weeks when there's infestation. Now the sucking insects that I just sprayed, like the aphids, are typically easy to find and see on your plant. And that's why the takedown is so effective. You can spray them directly and it kills them on contact. The chewing insects, however, are not always visible, but the damage is visible. So it requires a different spray. And for this, I use the garden insect spray by Monterey. Again, super effective. What makes this different is it contains spinosad, specifically for chewing insects. The spinosad is actually derived from a natural occurring soil bacteria. And the chewing insects, once they chew the plant, they ingest it and they die. So it hangs around for a couple of more days and it's really effective against those chewing insects, which you don't always see. So for this, I've got it here in my pump sprayer. You can also use a hose sprayer or even a spray bottle, but just follow the directions on the product label. Spraying the top of the leaves, the underside of the leaves, and here you can even see some droppings on the plant, which is usually a sure sign of some type of caterpillar. This plant is actually showing a lot of signs of stress here. It's got wilting leaves, which means unfortunately the chewing insects are causing some significant damage to my eggplant here. And look at this leaf, it's completely shredded. So I'm gonna go in here and spray very, very thoroughly. Again, spraying in the evening when the pollinators are less active, avoiding the flowers. And I'm really giving this a good spray down. And I can spray this every 7 to 10 days as needed, until I stop seeing damage to the plant. Now, one reason why I really like the garden insect spray is because it also takes care of the leaf miners. So come on over here to my cucumber plant, which leaf miners are well known for infesting cucumber plants. And they're really hard to get rid of because what leaf miners do is they actually burrow into the leaves of the plant here and make little tracks. You can see that here. These are actually inside the leaves, so you're not going to be able to spray an on-contact spray and take care of them. But because the spinosad, or the garden insect spray, penetrates the outer layer of the leaf, it's going to be very effective to getting in there within the leaf and killing the leaf miners. So we're going to go ahead and spray this entire cucumber plant down. I've got some holes in the leaves too, so it looks like I've got a couple of different pests infesting here. The second biggest mistake a lot of gardeners make is they wait too long to take care of their pest problems. You got to nip it in the bud right away. So I always keep these two products in my garden tool shed, the takedown and the garden insect spray. I have them on hand. It avoids the stress of having to order them and then spray once you have the problem. Because if you take care of it soon enough, you're much more likely to stop the problem before it gets worse. Otherwise, your problem is just going to get out of hand and you could completely kill your plants. Step number 3 is prevention. And this is something you want to do when your plants are young, either early in the season or when you replant. A good prevention method is to cover your plants or to provide barriers against the pests. And I just replanted this garden bed here. You can go back and check out that video, but I've got some brand new little seedlings just coming up. If I get these in time, the little crazy psychedelic white butterflies won't come through here and lay the eggs that turn into cabbage loopers. It'll help keep the pests off the plant, especially while these little seedlings are young. They're just now popping up. So I like to use Tulle for this. It's very inexpensive. It's Tulle. You can find it at most fabric stores. And for this, I like to clip it around the garden bed here to keep the pests out and to protect my little seedlings. So I'll cover it as much as I can. And one reason why I like the Tulle is because it still allows sunlight to get through and airflow to get through, but it does provide a nice little barrier against the pests. Now, once my seedlings get a little bit larger and we're able to withstand the pest pressure, I can take the Tulle off. However, that being said, there are some plants that are particularly susceptible to aphids and other sucking insects. Come over to the chill zone and let me show you what's going on over here. If you have an area where you have lots of greens and lots of kale, the cabbage loopers love to chew these down. So what you could do is construct a little hoop house over your garden bed. This is an ag fabric, which still allows some sunlight to get through, and you could completely grow your crop entirely under the ag fabric all season long to help protect it from pests. If you learned something new in this video, I'd like to hear about it. As always, I'll be reading the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the garden.